Welcome to the Property Investor Podcast. This podcast is designed for anyone who wants to excel in real estate investing. We'll help you build the direction and strategy necessary to thrive in property investing. I'm your host, Mark Rabarski. I'm one of Melbourne's leading property advisors. Before we get started, make sure you don't miss an episode. Click the subscribe button now. Today, we're talking about adding value to a property. I'm a buyer's agent and I get asked this question quite a bit from my current clients that are buying and people that are selling as well, as to different tricks of the trade they can use to add some value very cheaply. And we'll be talking about those tricks, I guess, and also the major ones as well, the ones that cost quite a bit of money, but you can add hundreds of thousands of dollars to the bottom line when you're finally selling your property. I got invited to many appraisals where people would ask me what their property is worth, and I'd walk through and I would compare what their work, the final product of what's sold on the marketplace, and I'd give them a price saying, look, this is what the market is willing to pay for this kind of property. In many cases, I had people that have overspent on gardens, that overspent on moving walls, or they've overspent on adding a kitchen with very expensive fittings in it. And unfortunately, depending on where your property is situated, the market isn't willing to pay an absolute premium for that kind of renovation. So as a buyer's agent and as a history as being a real estate agent, what I've learned is that it's best to compare your property as is with sales that have been made in the immediate area, usually within a 2-kilometer radius of the property you're looking at buying or of your home, and making sure that it's a recent sale, something that is sold in the last 6 months. Now, then you're best to look for a property that has the renovation you're looking for. So, for example, with a property with the same land size, same amount of bedrooms, but has that pergola that you want to add on, or has that pool that you want to add on, or has the extended room or a second level. And based on that sale price, that will give you a pretty decent margin as to how much money you have to play with, and if there is any profit in that project whatsoever. The biggest bang for your buck when it comes to adding value to a property will be adding a granny flat or a unit to the property. So for example, you're adding a small 1-bedroom, 1-bathroom, 1 small living area, or maybe like a studio apartment setup in the back of a property. That would be a granny flat. And a subdividable property where you can actually get a separate title for this property would be achieving that goal of having a second dwelling on the property that you have the option of subdividing and selling or leasing out. Now, the benefit is obviously the rental income is a great incentive, and a lot of my clients target properties that they can basically add a second dwelling to the property in the long run, because the cost of buying is so high. So they want to make sure that they're able to add to their portfolio in this way. Now, this is a complex way to do business in the sense where it can be expensive and time consuming. So it's best to get a lot of advice if you're willing to approach a project like this, just to kind of avoid a lot of heartache and pain, I guess, and make sure that the project is profitable and that it's actually well worth your while to undertake something like this. The second way to add some really good dollars to a property is by extending the carport or adding an additional garage parking space. I love this one because I always look out for it when I'm looking at inner city properties, especially ones that have rear laneways. Usually you'd see the access point at the back of a property with a single car garage door. And the real estate agent sells that as a single car park space. Now, what's stopping you to add a double car garage door and a little bit more concrete? This requires no planning permits from the council, and you can pretty much just hire a few tradies to conduct the whole renovation for you. And it really can add a lot more to the bottom line of the price when you resell the property, and also makes living in the property a little bit easier, having that multiple car park place. The next one is one that everyone would notice when they walk into a property, either consciously or subconsciously, and that's neutral styling. Let's talk about, I guess, the subconscious side of things. When you walk into a property and it's a little bit dark, you notice wallpaper from the 1970s. They've got feature walls that are all different colors. Their window coverings are usually drawn, or they're very, very big, and they've got multi-layers to it. it's blocking out a lot of light, your natural feeling is to be a little bit uncomfortable. On the flip side, you walk into a new property and they've got big windows, they've got small window coverings that let the light in, they've got a light color scheme, the furniture is very light, and there's nothing distracting you to draw your attention to something that you dislike or may ultimately make you feel uncomfortable. The feeling is quite the opposite. You're actually very comfortable there and you want to spend time in this kind of property. Now, getting neutral styling right is key to any successful selling campaign. A real estate agent will always tell you it's them that's made the difference for getting the absolute premium for a property. But being a buyer's agent, I can actually absolutely assure you that a premium property that attracts that price has got a neutral styling right. When that for sale board comes out or that for lease board comes out for your property will appeal to the masses, whether it's tenants or whether it's property buyers. And that is how higher rents are achieved, and that is how real estate agents achieve higher sale prices. An open floor plan is key to successful neutral styling. I usually target properties that are the opposite, especially for clients that are asking me for properties they can add value to. So what I look for is properties that are usually built in the 1970s or the 1980s that are split up into many small rooms. So the living area is separate, the meals and dining is separate, and the kitchen has a separate wall, and they're all quite small rooms. Usually the walls between these rooms are non-load bearing. So what that means is they're not supporting the roof or the main structure of the property. So quite cheaply and quite easily, you could remove a few of these walls and create a beautiful big open living space. Homes that don't have an open floor plan usually don't sell for premiums, and that's why I, as a buyer's agent, will target these properties. So take note, the sellers, people that are selling their properties and they're trying to maximize their value. There's buyer's agents out there that are looking for properties that have enclosed floor plans that don't have that open space because they are harder properties to sell. They will spend more time on the market. The agent will basically struggle with buyers to convince them to put higher offers in for this kind of property. And you'll find the buyers that are looking at submitting offers, they're usually a bit less negotiable. They'll always put in a lower offer and really try haggle rather than try pay a fair price for what your property is really worth. Okay, lastly, I've combined a few of the common sense renovation tactics that a lot of renovators use to add value, but I thought I'd just give my spin on them. So one of the ones is improving lighting, and that's typically you think of things like window coverings, furniture. They're absolutely key to making sure that you have a well-balanced property when it comes to neutral styling. But I would also look at things like decluttering, making sure you can, when you do put the home on the market, you can not have too much of your own personal things in there. So you want to make sure it's nice and light on those aspects. Having a skylight is wonderful to really promote additional light that you could not really get into dark places when it comes to a larger home. New floor coverings and paint. These are a wonderful, easy way that's a really low-hanging fruit to any renovator that's looking at adding value to a home. And a coat of paint can do wonders for the presentation and most importantly the smell of a property, especially if it's an older one, and just to kind of freshen things up and make it like new. Hey, you'll be happy to hear that if you subscribe to our channel, we will give you a little gift, a little thank you for your efforts. It's because we appreciate that you're listening, subscribing to what we do and educating the public on investing in real estate. So if you do subscribe and leave your details on any of our sites, we'll be happy to email you free of charge a suburb report that gives you all the information on the median selling prices, some comparable sales, the rental history, and we'll just give you some feedback on whether the suburb is a good suburb typically for capital growth. So if you're interested, leave your details, click subscribe, and we'll get that report over to you in 24 hours.